Who hasn't heard of the Pomodoro Technique, the time management method developed by Francesco Cirillo in the late 1980s? The now famous tomato-shaped kitchen timer has become a symbol of productivity and focus. But with all the hype around it, it's probably a good idea to take a step back and ask if this method is really a good tool to help us make progress on the tasks and projects we hope to get done, and if it truly improves our focus and productivity. Does this method really suit the needs of everybody? You might have guessed it, I don't believe the Pomodoro Method is the panacea and the best tool for optimal productivity and focus. In this video, I want to show you its flaws and how you can adapt the core principles of the Pomodoro Technique to best suit your ever-changing needs and skills. Hi, I'm Valerie, I'm from Switzerland and I'm a translator and sports enthusiast obsessed with self-improvement. On this channel, I explore, dissect and analyze the myriad ways we can improve ourselves over time, whether it be physically, mentally, professionally or socially. By engaging in self-experiments, talking with strangers and reading scientific papers as well as philosophical essays, my goal is to try to map out what it means to live a good life, a fulfilling life. If this quest resonates with you, then embark on this journey with me to define your path towards your best life. The Pomodoro Technique is a time management method designed to help you get rid of distractions and work on a single task with undivided attention, thereby increasing your productivity and efficiency. It relies on the use of a timer to break the work and tasks you need to get done into 4 25 uninterrupted and distraction-free work intervals, separated by 3 to 5 minute long breaks. And after 4 times 25-minute long Pomodoro sessions, you get to take a longer break of about 20 to 30 minutes. The core principle is that during a 25-minute work interval, you must focus on one single task. The idea is to help you regain control over your attention by forcing you to direct it on one single task for a prolonged period. Ideally, the most important tasks you need to get done or any mentally demanding task you need to engage in to make progress on your projects. The break should also be distraction-free, especially the short breaks in between the 25-minute intervals. During those times, you should engage in a relaxing activity unrelated to work, such as meditating, taking a short walk, grabbing something to drink, or just letting your mind wander while gazing at a beautiful view. Stimulating activities should be avoided, which means no social media, no reading, no TV, and so on. The Pomodoro method is actually a good starting point to help you increase your focus. If you have difficulty focusing on a single task for a prolonged period, if you find yourself constantly distracted by every kind of stimulus, if you can't resist the urge to check your social media every 5 minutes, if you're adept at multitasking and would like to learn to focus on one single task at a time to get more done, or if you tend to procrastinate a lot and face a lot of resistance to get started on a task, then it's a method worth trying as an introduction to improve your concentration. And this method has actually several advantages. First, the Pomodoro Technique is very simple to use and to put into practice. You just need a timer and no need for a physical one. You can simply use an app or even your phone clock to set it. You can start right away with it without much planning beforehand, which makes it a good tool to start with. The 25-minute distraction-free interval is an interesting amount of time because it's reasonably short to make it acceptable for your clients or colleagues to wait before they get an answer back from you or before you call them back. Thus, it frees your mind from the stress of having to check your mailbox or phone and lets you give your undivided attention to the task at hand. You should be able to enforce those distraction and interruption-free spaces in your daily business activities without major disruption. It shouldn't impact your collaboration with other people, nor interfere much with your business processes or the workflow of the organization for which you work. 25 minutes is also short enough to motivate you to start a task you're reluctant to tackle, either because you find it boring, uncomfortable, or challenging. The Pomodoro Technique can prevent you from procrastinating by reducing the friction you experience before committing to a task. 25 minutes is a reasonable or acceptable time limit for our expected suffering. We're usually more willing to start an uncomfortable task knowing we won't have to work on it for too long and that we'll get rewarded with a welcoming break soon enough. This method also sets a time limit for you to complete your tasks, preventing them from extending indefinitely. Ideally, you'd want your tasks to be over after a 25-minute session, for short ones, or after a complete round of 4 times 25-minute sessions. This cycle creates an artificial deadline for you to abide by and helps you fulfill your tasks more efficiently. The Pomodoro Technique also forces you to intersperse your work with frequent breaks, long and short, to help you relax adequately. Creating space for your mind to rest helps you replenish your batteries and start a new work cycle with better focus, which allows you to work more productively and efficiently. The space in between bouts of narrow focused attention gives also your mind space to wander and establish new connections so that you can come up with new and creative ideas and solve problems without actively focusing on them. All in all, if you're easily and constantly distracted, the Pomodoro Method is actually a very good starting point to train your ability to focus for longer periods. It's a very interesting tool to start practicing focus and training your attention muscle. However, in the long term, this method probably won't be your best option to maximize your productivity and concentration. As you improve your ability to focus, you might start to realize that you'll need to adapt this framework to your specific needs and add some flexibility to your work sessions to make the most of them. First, the length of the work sessions, 25 minutes, is quite arbitrary. It might be a short enough amount of time to remove the friction to start a challenging task, and it might prompt you to take breaks regularly. But it can also interrupt your momentum and ruin your focus. Imagine that you start working on a task, and after 10 to 15 minutes you finally find yourself gently sliding into deep focus mode. But only 10 minutes later, the timer rings, interrupting your flow and forcing you to take a break. 25 minutes is usually too short to reach peak focus. For most people, it seems it takes at the very least 15 minutes of focused attention on a single task before being able to enter into the highly prized flow state. The state when you become so totally immersed in the task at hand that you actually forget about time and about everything else. And it can take much longer, especially if you're quite new to single tasking and deep focus. If you want to improve your concentration over time and be able to reach peak focus to achieve maximal productivity and efficiency, you should plan longer work sessions to allow you to reap the benefits of such a state. Furthermore, if you unconsciously made a habit of letting yourself be constantly distracted while working, of checking your social media accounts and mailbox every minute, responding to every stimulus that comes your way, as most of us actually do, and if you've never experienced deep focus, then 25-minute sessions might still be too much and too hard for you to begin with. You might want to start smaller with 15-minute sessions just to get used to keeping your attention directed towards a single object for a prolonged period. Once you get used to focusing on a single task without interruption, once you are more comfortable with that kind of focused work session, you can start lengthening those progressively. The length of time you might want to set for your work sessions might also depend on the type of task you're about to dive into. If you're on the brink of engaging in an utterly boring or uncomfortable task, you'll maybe need to set a short amount of time to help you get started and remove the friction. For some particularly challenging and complex tasks, however, such as mathematical problems, coding, essay writing, and problem solving, you might actually need more time of sustained attention to make real progress. as you'll need to work through all the steps comprehensively and consider all the subtleties and details of the problem at hand without losing the thread of your thoughts and reasoning. The optimal length of time for your fully focused work sessions will also probably depend on your energy level and mental state. Some days you'll find your ability to focus considerably lower than others. Because you had less sleep, you feel depleted, you're more stressed, more anxious, and some other days you might have a clearer mind and find it easier to reach laser-sharp focus. You should take advantage of those times. Instead of using a rigid Pomodoro method based on fixed 25-minute work sessions, you should add flexibility to your work sessions and adapt them based on your personal circumstances, your changing energy levels, and the kinds of tasks you want to make progress on. And the same goes with the length of your breaks. Although I think the idea of regular short breaks with longer breaks approximately every 2 hours seems quite fitting in many situations, it will also depend on the tasks you're about to do, on your mood, energy levels, and even on your environment. Also, the Pomodoro Technique doesn't tell you when you should start your session, so there's nothing to prevent you from delaying and postponing indefinitely the time at which you'll start your session, which can also easily become never. And finally, although the Pomodoro Technique explicitly says that you must work without distractions during the 25-minute interval and that you shouldn't scroll through social media during your breaks, actually, it doesn't give you a tool to actually prevent you from being distracted and opening your social media accounts. It requires that you use your discipline and willpower, which are very unreliable, particularly when the resistance is at its highest during the first 15 minutes of engaging in the task. As I already stressed, the Pomodoro Technique is a good tool to start sharpening your focus and experimenting with single tasking. But once you start to feel more comfortable with that type of deep work, you need to adapt it, tweak it, and experiment with other tools and techniques to find the processes and methods that work best for you. You should then add flexibility to your routine to adapt it to your ever-changing situation, energy level, and tasks. To make the most of the Pomodoro Technique and adapt it to your needs, you can extract its core principle, what it's designed to help us achieve: prolonged, uninterrupted work sessions focused on one single task. The Pomodoro Technique works because it promotes sustained attention on the task you're about to tackle. It sets a time cap for you to complete your task. So how can we tweak the method to embody this core principle and become even more efficient in our work in every circumstances? First, if you still find the Pomodoro method useful to remove the friction to start working on a task, then feel free to continue with it, but adapt the length of your sessions flexibly depending on the task you're about to engage in. If it's a challenging task that requires some level of problem solving and complex thinking, you might want to plan longer work sessions. And most of all, cut off the alarm. You can still set the time for a length of time that helps you remove the friction, that makes you feel comfortable starting. But then, during the session, if you're finally able to tame the resistance and ease into focus, and maybe even enter a flow state, the alarm won't interrupt you at the planned session end, and you'll keep riding this wave of productivity until you get tired or until you lose focus. You probably got my point now. The Pomodoro Technique is too rigid as it is. So instead of Pomodoro sessions, I would suggest you use two other useful tools: time blocking and scheduling. Scheduling, simply put, is planning in advance when you're gonna work, for how long, and on what exactly you are gonna work, what tasks you plan to complete. You can do that with a basic calendar app such as Google Calendar. Time blocking is just a way of allocating your time when scheduling your tasks, especially your most meaningful and most mentally demanding tasks. Time blocking means you have to first block in your calendar long periods designed to focus and make progress on one single priority task and during which you won't allow any interruptions. Those blocked sessions could be between 1 hour 30 and 4 hours, depending on your ability to focus and on the task you need to get done. When choosing the length of your blocked time sessions, fix a reasonable amount of time for you to complete the specific tasks you're planning to get done. When you have a time limit and work under time pressure, you generate and consider fewer alternatives, which helps you make decisions faster and more efficiently. It allows you to focus on the most important aspects of the task at hand, thus helping you to complete it faster and more efficiently. Yet, it's essential that you try to create blocks with sufficient time to allow you to complete the task you want to work on, because completing a task helps you reduce cognitive load and attention residue. If you switch to another task before completing the previous one, your mind will keep processing the unfinished task in the background, which might increase your level of stress and prevent you from relaxing adequately or focusing properly on any new task. If the task you plan to work on will require more than 1 day of work or is a long-term project, I would suggest you break it down into smaller steps until you have small breaks that you could each complete in a 1 hour 30 to 2 hour interval. If you planned a 2-hour work session to complete a task but are unable to keep your attention sharp for such a long time without losing focus, add some short breaks into your session, but don't plan them in advance. Take short breaks when you feel you need them, when you start getting tired, when you start losing focus, or when you're done with your task. Plan and reward yourself with longer breaks at the end of your prolonged, uninterrupted work sessions once you've completed a task. And during the breaks, don't do anything too stimulating, nothing too entertaining or intellectually demanding. Your breaks are meant to let your mind rest and your attention expand, wander instead of focusing. This means no social media, no reading, no TV or video games. Here are some ideas. Have a cup of tea or eat something, go for a short walk, do some stretching, or just take some time to gaze out the window, observe the nature around and let your mind wander. This will give your brain the space it needs to process and organize the information that's relevant to your task in the background, subconsciously, so that you can make decisions more efficiently when resuming your work. And of course, it'll help you replenish your mental batteries to engage in a new bout of deep work. If you didn't complete the task as planned at the end of a session, but you're almost done, extend your session to finish the task you're working on before taking a break. As I mentioned earlier, you want to aim for task closure before taking longer breaks, so that you can actually free your mind from any open loops. By doing so, you prevent the task from keeping gnawing at you while trying to relax your mind and recover your energy. To prevent connected distractions like social media, emails, WhatsApp messages, or any kind of unproductive websites from hijacking your attention while working, use an app and website blocking app like Freedom or BlockSite. I do use Freedom, and it allows you to easily select the apps and websites you want to block on all your devices during your deep work sessions. Define in advance the length of time of your sessions and schedule them beforehand to limit or even suppress procrastination. And I encourage you to use this app and website blocking app not only during your work sessions, but also during your breaks. Extend your blocked sessions to cover your breaks so you won't be tempted to scroll through your social media feeds during your breaks. As I already mentioned, the content of your breaks is very important too, and they're only really useful if you let your mind truly rest without overstimulation. When you let your mind wander, you can process information in the background, replenish your mental energy and capacities, and enhance your creativity and the likelihood you'll come up with new ideas. Now, I hope this video helped you see how you could tweak and adapt the Pomodoro Method to your evolving needs and ability to focus over time. To keep on improving your concentration, productivity, and efficiency, you should not abide by a predefined and rigid system, but tailor some well-proven techniques and methods to your personal circumstances and personality. After using the Pomodoro technique for some time, you might realize, once you've established good habits, that you need to add flexibility to your routine to be able to respond to your changing energy levels, needs, and environment, and best adapt to them to stay productive in the long term. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up and share it with some of your friends who might benefit from these few tips and ideas, and subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss the next video on topics such as focus, productivity, and awareness. And if you have experimented with the Pomodoro method or with time blocking and scheduling, please share your experience and techniques in the comment section to show examples of how various people can actually react differently to a very popular framework such as the Pomodoro Technique and how they adapt it to their needs.